Hello boys and girls, Lord Hawkeye here again. This is a bit of a follow-up to a point I'd like to touch on a little more detail concerning our little debate with our friend David. I can't remember his full name, so I'm going to just call him David from here on, just for convenience. Anyways, so when talking to him in the video in the comments and looking back on his videos and analyzing what he had to say as carefully as I could, I found some very telling things in there. Most notably, when he was accused of believing that might makes right, his reply was not to deny it like most statists do. His reply was, "So do you," meaning he affirms that he does actually believe might makes right. Well, I find that rather interesting. For the reason being, because he is at this very moment debating to try to prove that he is right, which is very much in opposition to his claim. So I would first ask the question: if you believe might makes right, why are you trying to prove you're right through debating when you know very well that you'll never prove you're right that way? Only by threatening your opponent into agreeing with you can you prove you're right, according to your own claim. Now, of course, this is just a fair warning. If anyone's answer to this question is, "because I am not able to," well then you just admitted that you would threaten us with violence if you had the ability to. And if that's the case, I'm going to have to ban you from my channel because I have a strict no-tolerance policy on uttering threats. Sorry, but that's how it is. This is a place for logical debate, not for pointing guns at people. Anyways, moving on. Might makes right, does it? When I talked about this, he said that all property ultimately is obtained by violence, which is actually not true, or maybe he means that the only way of protecting property rights is with violence. Well, to that I ask, what exactly do you mean by that? Do you mean you know every possible solution to protecting property rights, every solution that's ever been tried, every solution that ever will be tried, ever suggested, any solution that could ever be conceived of, now to the end of time, and violence is the only one that could ever possibly work? If you have that level of insight, well, could you give me the next winning lottery tickets, please? Because apparently you're some kind of all-knowing deity. Or do you actually mean only you just can't think of an alternative to violence? I'm aiming for the later. So so this is the mistake a lot of states made. They think just because they can't think of a solution other than violence, that no other solution could possibly exist. Well, I'm afraid that you are provably wrong on that. There are solutions, many of them, many of which have been discussed, many of which have even been tried and worked far better than violence ever did. In fact, historical precedent shows violence in fact never works in the long run. It always achieves the opposite result of what it was intended to fix. Anyone who seriously looked at history can see this very clearly, absolutely beyond any shadow of a doubt. So I don't claim to know the answers. I just know violence isn't it. That's just to keep that clear. One other thing he said that was not only telling, actually quite disturbing, is when he was confronted with the whole might makes right accusation, he said his counter-argument was, "So do you because you want to use violence to defend yourself from aggression." So in essence, he is saying that the initiation of violence is the same as using violence to protect yourself from the initiation of violence. In other words, a rapist is morally equal to the woman who shot her rapist to protect herself. I have to say, pretty messed up stuff there, buddy. You might want to rethink that policy. So this is why anyone who tries to debate that might makes right is contradicting himself right there. He's supposed to be pulling a gun on you and forcing you to agree with him if that's what he actually believes. Always remember, the first step to being believable is integrity. Do you actually practice what you preach? Very important. You can practice what you preach and be wrong, but you cannot be right if you don't practice what you preach. Very important. And to all the states out there who still argue that violence is the only solution to getting things done, if that's really the only solution you can possibly think of, then personally, I deem you unqualified as a problem solver. I think your way of thinking is just far, far, far too primitive to solve the complex problems of society today. Because really, if violence is all you can think of, you really need to do some serious soul searching before you are anywhere close to being in a position to dictate how society should be handled. At least that's my take. Until next time, be aware and be wise.